Okay, everybody. Hello, 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 and welcome, welcome, welcome. Appreciate you all being here. We are live. We're live, ready to rock into the roll. Looking forward to it. And happy Friday to you guys, wherever you are in this brutal world. Yeah, I tell you what, it's been one of those days. And again, just let me know, moderators, if you want me to put subscriber chat, just let me know. Because we don't put up with any type of nonsense. We're adults, and if you can't behave, we're going to put subscriber chat on. That's the way it's going to be, and we do not apologize to nobody. This is a troll-free zone. Troll-free zone. That should be a song. Troll-free zone. All right. So everybody, welcome to the presentation. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you all being here on this Friday. It is Friday. We'll get to it in just a second, guys. I promise you. Happy Friday to you wherever you are. I promise you guys, we'll get to all your questions. Just hang tight. I just started. Man, Mr. Producer, they're ready to go. They're not playing around. Let me tell you something. These folks on TikTok, Mr. Producer, they are not playing. They are ready to go right now. I like that. That's awesome. That's very cool. That's good. And, oh, that's right. Yeah, Kat. Happy Friday the 13th. It's Friday the 13th as well. So I think that's why not have a presentation on haunted items? Now, look, if you want to go to my website because you're really bored and have nothing else better to do, then you can just simply go to bishopjameslong.com. Very, very simple. bishopjameslong.com. That's it. It's easy. So if you're looking for something to put you to sleep, like, oh boy, I cannot sleep, go on over there. It'll put you to sleep. But head on over there if you want to. And probably Cheeto, it could possibly be, you don't know. If you want to go to the church's website, it's far more important. The church's website is usocc.org. usocc.org. That is the church's website. I want to remind everybody, we'll get your questions. That's at 9:50 p.m. Eastern, well, technically 10 p.m. Eastern Standard, we have night prayer. All right, night prayer is at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time this evening. So please consider joining us if you like. We pray for all your prayer petitions. However, if you're on TikTok, this is what you need to do. If you want us to pray for your prayer petition, you got to go to my TikTok profile. I uploaded a video for tonight's night prayer, and it says place your prayer requests in the comments. Make sure to include your name. You need to do it before 8 p.m. Eastern. You have 1 hour because we have to put them all together tonight. And we'll pray for your petition tonight. For those of you who are watching on all the other social media platforms, you just simply go to usocc.org. And it says to become a parishioner. Click here. Click that big old picture. It takes you to the book to the face page. I have to say it because of TikTok requirements. And if you do that, then Judy Ann always posts a video saying place your prayer petition. Well, it's a picture. Place your prayer petitions for tonight. Please do so. And so anyway, make sure you got 1 hour and 1 hour. Okay. Okay. First of all, let me just say a couple things before we, listen to me. Okay. We're going to get into the show. I know a lot of you are worried right now with the situation in the Middle East. I get it. Folks, thank you very much, Kathy. And thank you guys. I get it, folks. Listen to me. I am not a psychic. I'm not a medium, but I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. Okay. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. I'm in my 50s. I've been around for a little bit, and I've seen, these type of flare-ups. This is what's going to happen, friends. So they're going to go back and forth. And then Iran is going to realize that they've exhausted pretty much all their weaponry, or before they get to that point, and then they're going to go to the United States and say, okay, now we want to have a conversation. That's what this is about. I give you my word. I promise you. This is not Armageddon. Guys, it's not Armageddon. And I'm giving you my word. I guarantee, I know this situation. I followed this situation since the 80s. I'm telling you, not obviously as much as I did today, but I'm telling you what's going to happen. You mark my words. Things will calm down. Iran will go to the United States and say, we need to negotiate. And there we go. Okay. All right. So that is, there we go. All right. Just keep that in mind, friends. I know a lot of you are worried and stressed. Look, do me a favor. Turn off the news. Turn it off. Turn off the news. And just enjoy life. Because we have the right now, here and now. You can't worry about it. You can't control it. So don't worry about it. You worry about the things you can control. You got to let go of the things that you can't. So turn the news off. I studied communications and I studied journalism at Loyola University in Chicago. That's where I have my degree. And I'm telling you right now, the media, I'm not going to be anti-media or anything of this nature, but the media knows what they're doing. And they're trying to scare the hell out of everybody, because the more they frighten you, then the more you stay tuned. And right now, the world news and the local news, the ratings are plummeting. They are plummeting right now. I keep up on that thing because I love communication and journalism. And the reason is they're plummeting is because people are not sitting on their couches and watching television as often as they used to anymore, because now it's social media. So this is why they're pushing the apps, because they know that people are watching these things on their apps. So they're going to scare you. They're going to frighten you. They're going to do it because it's ratings. It's all about money. It's all about money, friends. That's it. Because if they scare the heck out of you, and then they can go to the advertisers and say, boy, look at all these ratings. The ratings have they just plummet. And then the advertisers say, boy, you have a lot of people watching. And then they start advertising for that local network. That's how it works. It's how it works. That's the way it goes. So I guess what I'm trying to say to you is, look, just relax. It's going to be okay. It'll be all right. I would advise those of you probably not to go to major cities. I know there's going to be a big protest. So, just so that you're not stuck in traffic. Because traffic is going to be pretty bad tomorrow. There's going to be some really heavy traffic, a lot of protesting across the United States. I have to address this issue because people are, most 90% of the questions have been about this. So I would just encourage people, if you don't have to go into the bigger cities tomorrow, don't. Stay home, and it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And I guarantee you that we're going to see Iran go to the United States, and they're going to say, we have to start negotiating now. We're ready to negotiate now. That's what it's going to be. Plain and simple. Okay? So there we are. Okay? So, if you can stay home tomorrow, stay home. Well, God's, look, when you realize that God is in control, you don't need to worry about anything. I can't control. You can't control what's happening in the Middle East. I can't control, the protesting and all. You can't control it. So we let go and let God. Worry about the things you can control and let go of the things that you can't. And tonight, let's just enjoy each other's company. Fair enough? Okay. Tonight is our paranormal night. This is the one night a week. Well, thank you very much there, Sheena. This is the one night a week, and Buster, that we are going to talk paranormal. Now, tomorrow we're going to be here at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as well. And we'll see about what goes on tomorrow. We'll chat. But there it is. Everybody's asking about the doll. There it is right there. This is the doll that was aired on the Eli Roth Presents Legion of Exorcist show. So I'm a cast member on that show. You can watch it on HBO Max, Travel Channel, really all the streaming services. This is the doll. And I'm not taking, I don't want to take it out of this case. So we're going to talk about her in a moment. And, but I'm going to be talking about, these are items. Let me just say this. So I have been, the first time I investigated a location was 35 years ago at Waverly Hills in Louisville, Kentucky. And over now 25 years now, I have been actively involved in ministry, going to people's homes where they collect these items And then they have violent activity in their home, and they ask me to come to their home and to remove them. And then, of course, I perform the minor rite of exorcism in their home. I've been doing this for 25 years. So these items that I've collected, they are not new. Some of them are relatively within the next couple of years old. But most of these items have been collected in a 25-year span. All right. So we're not going to talk about any other thing except for this tonight. Okay. That's what we're going to talk about tonight, guys. That's the deal. And then tomorrow, I'm here Sundays and Wednesdays. I teach theology and Bible study. I'm here Monday through Friday. We teach Bible study, night prayer, and we teach theology. So I'm here 7 days a week. Okay. So let me explain the minor rite of exorcism. And right now, TikTok, everybody's able to chat. But if the trolling gets bad, I'm just going to put sub chat on. Just telling you now. But right now, it looks fine. But just be nice. Just be nice. That's it. Okay. Some of these items are very dangerous. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that they aren't. I don't like them in my studio. I don't want them in my studio. But this is it's something that I like to do to present. So as a matter of fact, I have the blessed oil here, and I always place them on the fingers before I just don't like handling these because of the story behind them. So let's get into it. These items, again, I have blessed all of these items. I have removed them from people's homes, and some of them are pretty rough. So the first thing we're going to talk about is this. Okay. There was a woman there. It was a husband of a 22-year-old wife complaining of a painting and the havoc that it caused in their family. So she was just unbelievably obsessed with this book, obsessed with it. And for those of you who don't know what this book is, it's pretty, there are some things that I can show, and there are some things that I can't, primarily because of the pictures. It's the Book of the Dead, really. It's a necromancy book, basically book. These are some of the pictures on the inside. And of course, there's also names of demons. And there are, well, there are some things I can show. These are some of the demons like this. So she owned this book, and she became obsessed with it. So some of them have the names of demons and the incantations that you can, that she began to do this. And here's why I show this, and this is why Lorraine did this. Lorraine, and so did Ed. They would take their items that they've removed from people's homes, and they would take it to locations where they give presentations, and they would teach people about these items and the dangers of collecting them. Now, it has gotten a million times worse with collecting these items than when it did even with Ed and Lorraine. But so the wife purchased, really became this book and became obsessed with it. She even kind of, when it came to having dealing with her family, she just couldn't put it down. And it's not a very long book, but it's enough to where she became obsessed. And even she started drawing the pictures, trying to find out the incantations, things of this. So the family was, before she got involved in this, the family was very loving. But when she purchased this book, she just changed. She became verbally abusive and would begin even pulling her hair out. And this was a woman that was not aggressive in any way, shape, form, or fashion. And she would begin to curse Jesus. And the process happened, he said, about 2 to 3 months after she purchased the book. And she would then curse Jesus, but she was a very devout Christian prior to purchasing this book. So the husband then called a paranormal team to investigate the home and that the team left within 30 minutes and refused to return. Well, she became so obsessed that she found a painting. And this is the painting that she found. And this is the actual painting. And if you notice, that's the painting. So you got that, and you have this. So she became obsessed with this. Put that over here. She became obsessed. And again, the paranormal team was called in, and they had so much violent activity in the home that they left. They would not return. And even when I asked them, if I come to this place, would you please help me? Because, I might need some help with a minor rite of exorcism. It's located in Tennessee. And they said no. They would not return because they would hear growls. People got scratched. One person got really sick to the point where they wouldn't stop regurgitating. So I was called in and assessed that obviously the minor rite of exorcism was warranted. Unfortunately, the minor rite was not enough. This was a situation where the solemn rite needed to be performed, because the moment that I began the minor rite, the wife went into transient possession. I was prepared for that possibility to happen. And so, it wasn't that I was caught off guard. But I wanted to see if transient possession is when the demonic will enter the body and leave at will. And perfect possession is when the person is under a constant stage of possession. So I performed 4 exorcisms in the span of 2 weeks. And the wife had no psychological struggles prior to the painting. Now, prior to me showing up, I did require a psychological evaluation, as I always do, because I knew that it could go into an exorcism. So as I was beginning to perform the minor rite of exorcism, she was looking down, and she immediately jerked her head back, almost as if like she was in a car accident. I mean, she jerked it back violently, and she was back like this, and she started shaking. And I knew that we were now no longer in a minor rite of exorcism situation. And so we had to immediately, pursue the solemn rite. Thankfully, I had another clergy member that was with me, because I had that feeling based on her behavior prior to showing up and the evidence that the team captured, that there was no question in my mind that she could go into an exorcism or possession, I should say. So again, I performed 4 exorcisms in 2 weeks. And the husband and wife, that was successful. I performed then the solemn rite of exorcism, and I performed the minor rite of exorcism. I had mass in their home. I removed these items. She made a full recovery, and they are still married. She does remember that she became completely obsessed with the book and the painting. And the reason that I always want to find out what caused it. And as we kind of did more investigations and more digging, she was very heavy into black magic as a teenager. So she first started into witchcraft, as she described it, as white magic. And then she got into some pretty dark stuff. She completely forgot. This was like when she's 14 years old. 13, 14 years old. So she really completely forgot about it. And she turned her whole life around. She said she was 16, 17 years old, completely turned her life away, gave her life to Christ. But she forgot. She remembered that she did some heavy stuff, but she even said that there were some times that she would go into trance, like a trance when she was doing incantations because someone made her mad. And she called upon, the demons, or this ring, this ring of Solomon. Most people know about. That's the ring. Allegedly, this is an interpretation of the Ring of Solomon. The Ring of Solomon believes that Solomon had this ring that was given to him by an angel, and that it would allow him to fly. It would allow him to speak to animals and even birds, and even control demons, and having demons build temples for the pagan gods that his concubines believed in. But yeah, that's the sides of it. And so she began really heavy into the keys of Solomon and calling upon demons to do their bidding, to harm people. So that's probably what caused that invitation. She doesn't remember. She remembers me coming into the house, and then she remembers me going into what she said, "You're praying to saints." It's called the Litany of Saints. But then she said it was almost like she couldn't hear me. It was distorted. She couldn't hear what I was saying. And it became kind of like a distortion, like a Charlie Brown, the episodes where the teacher's talking, because she couldn't hear it. And then she just said, I just kind of zoned out. And that's when she zoned out. She threw her head back and went into possession. So, yeah, it's a dangerous stuff. But there's a lot of people that get into the lesser key of Solomon and believing that they can summon these demons to do their bidding. And I've had actually several instances where people did this and they got in trouble. So that is that. Yeah. No, she wasn't using the ring. She became obsessed with this ring. And it was an obsession with her. And because she believed that she could summon these demons to do her bidding when she started practicing black magic. That's what she said. Okay. The next item that I have here, we're going to show you. I'll show you this one. I don't have it with me. I got it. Okay, well, that's all right. I thought I did. Hold on one sec. Yeah. Okay. So this is a crucifix that you see here. Now, in this is technically it's anointing for this anointing of the sick. Or in some terms, extreme unction or last rites. So this is used often when going to someone's home. And so what it is you lift it up from its base, and there's a little groove here, and you place it there. And you have these candles, which I've never lit because they are original. This is quite old. And you place the candles here and here. And I was trying to see if I know that I had a tea light just for, let me just move this. I'm going to move this down here. Hold on. Oh boy. Okay. I'm not going to mess with that because something's going to break. But anyway, you can guys see the idea. So I had a tea light candle right here. I don't like the actual candles. I had a tea light candle, and the flame was about right here. And a mother in the family began complaining of a demonic activity within their home. They played with a Ouija board. So the mother purchased the Ouija board after watching a video online claiming that, that they're not dangerous. Someone said, oh, they're not dangerous. They're not dangerous. It's all a game. It's all innocent. I played with them. So that convinced her that it was okay. This is why I'm saying misinformation is wrong. So the family, when they were playing with the Ouija board, complained that the planchet was moving on its own after they attempted to try to reach a deceased loved one. So thinking the family was speaking to a deceased loved one, they continued using the board, and then the activity became violent. So the family reached out to me and my team, and we did an investigation. And based on the findings, it was determined, obviously, that the minor rite of exorcism was warranted. So during the minor rite of exorcism, I took this out and I let the candle, and again, the flame was about right here on the tea light. It's a tea light candle. And so as soon as I began the litany of saints, the flame went from here to here. Now, and one of the investigators says, Bishop, your cross is on fire. Now, I'm telling you, this was a tea light candle. The flame went from here, like it was a torch, to there. I turned around, and that had actually caught fire. I'll show you guys. That's an extreme heat. And it's also, you can see where the underneath it, that's where the flame hit it. You can see underneath the beam of the cross there. And it made me very upset because this is a very old, this is a vintage sick call, and these are hard to find. The vintage ones are hard to find. And when that happened, I was pretty furious about that, because it burned all the way through this. I'll show you. So clearly, the minor rite of exorcism was warranted in this case, and we performed the minor. We had a lot of growls. Someone did get scratched. We were there for about 2.5 hours. And we were able to complete the minor rite of exorcism. And the family, we said, you need to give us the Ouija board. You don't need to be playing with the Ouija board anymore. So they said, okay. And that's how I did, in fact, have their Ouija board. These two items, I'm going to show you the items that I've shown you before, many of you, but there are several items that I've never shown. So tonight we're going to do this. This one here, these are very, very odd. So this case was a, how do you dispose of a Ouija board? Don't. Contact clergy or send them to me. And I will, here's why. The theory is, when there is a demonic attack, you use a Ouija board to open a portal. A portal is nothing magical, guys. For example, here's a boom boom stick. Okay, because I have allergies, I'm in Kentucky. So this is a boom boom stick. I can use this to open a portal. For example, I can place it on the table and say, okay, if there's any spirit here, move this boom boom stick. Now, I have used this object to open a portal to communicate with the dead, or communicate with something that I shouldn't be communicating with. So the problem is, clergy, we bind the demonic to that item, and we bless it, and we bind it. And that's the whole point, because you don't want this demonic, this malevolent spirit continuing causing havoc. So that is the point. So we don't want you guys to do this. Oh, I did a presentation on the Ouija boards before, Mike. Actually, I did an in-depth presentations on how it started. And really, it started with spiritualism in 1890s, 1870s or so. So anyway, these two things here. Good question. So there was this case was in Michigan, and the wife of a doll maker became very, very concerned for her husband. So the wife's husband used to make dolls, teddy bears that were cute. I mean, they loved them. I mean, he made kids teddy bears. His behavior changed, but he went to a haunted location. So he was just going to go to one because he wanted to investigate. Unfortunately, this place was known to have demonic activity, but he wanted to see, and he began to invite. Meaning, is there anybody here? I dare you to do something. I dare you to do something. And that's a form of invitation. And he actually blacked out during the investigation. So within a couple of weeks, he was no longer interested in making the cute little teddy bears. That's how they made their money, their bread and butter. That's how they paid their bills, because he was doing pretty well. And so he wasn't making cute bears anymore. He changed drastically. He began making bears that were quite gruesome. Total change in behavior. And his wife complained of even his eyes sometimes going black when creating the bears, and would almost go into like a trance state. She kept saying, calling his name, but he wouldn't listen. So she complained of the smell of sulfur, and that even religious items in her home, she saw one cross was thrown on the floor. So an investigation was conducted, obviously, and there was plenty of evidence that the solemn rite of exorcism was warranted. 3 exorcisms were performed, and the wife then reported that her husband, thankfully, is no longer making he's not making dolls anymore at all. And he will no longer investigate. So again, he went to, no, I don't get scared. My first exorcism was a little concerning, but no. So he went from making cute little teddy bears that, you could easily buy at a store to these. So that's what he went from. And this. That was his Christmas special. And I mean, he was very detailed, even with the claws. But this is a person, again, there. So he went from making cute little teddy bears to these. And so obviously, oh yeah, there's that. That's, oh yeah, people bought them. People bought them. And it is, yeah, it's always looked burnt. He purposely did it. I performed 3 exorcisms, and he doesn't have anything to do with, he doesn't even make teddy bears anymore. It affected him that much. And so he doesn't even make teddy bears anymore. Okay. This item is not so much scary, but it does have a very interesting story behind it. This is, we all know what this, though most of you know what this is, a dream catcher. And this is a very, very interesting case. I actually spoke to a shaman about this. And so there was a 15-year-old girl. This was in Alabama. And this was a 15-year-old girl that would have horrible nightmares every single night. She had this nightmare of a creature that tormented her in her sleep. Well, she would wake up screaming nightly due to like recurrent dreams of what she stated was a horrible creature that was stalking her in her dreams. And her mom, who was a single mom, also began reporting that there was woods all around them, that she would constantly see bright red glowing eyes in the woods staring right into the family's home. So the family then contacted, the family does live on, well, they used to, on a Native American land. And the mother reached out to a shaman, and the shaman informed her, the mom, that the family was being terrorized by a skinwalker, and that he would bless this a dream catcher. He made this for them, and that he would bless this dream catcher, and that he would that would eliminate the nightmares. He'd go to their house, and he did his ritual, the shamanic ritual. So the family then brought this into the nightmares stopped. But due to the emotional trauma, the family chose to move from the home. And the mother she was afraid. She was afraid that a skinwalker could attach itself to this. So she asked, if she contacted me, and she asked actually the skinwalker, the shaman, if he wanted it. And he said no, but I knew of the shaman. And he asked me if I wanted it. I said yes. He explained the case to me. And I asked again why they removed the dream catcher from, if it worked. And the mother said because it was a trigger. It was a trigger issue for the daughter because it caused so much anxiety within the family that they wanted nothing else to do with anything. And they even moved. A skinwalker is a demonic entity that can change its form. So this worked, but because she had so much trauma, they asked me. So this actually was used in an alleged. I wasn't there. I can just report a skinwalker case. So that's the skinwalker. Now, let's see. This is interesting. I don't know much about the Amish, but it's pretty fascinating how, when you think about people's faiths and their way of life and things of this nature. But I had a friend of mine who would take the Amish, like sometimes to Walmart, in the van. That person was not Amish, but apparently there was a child in the Amish community, and they are very strict as far as dolls. So this was a pretty conservative Amish community. And she bought, so this is a doll that is normal. They're allowed to have that. So they can have this. That's okay. That's acceptable. There's no face. There's nothing of this nature. However, the little girl, there was a little girl and she had a doll and she wanted, again, she decided to, she knew how to sew. She's 9 years old. And they found a doll that the little girl had actually sewn facial features on. The community had a very strict policy that dolls had no facial features. And the family actually complained that the child let the devil into their home by placing these features on the doll. So the dolls was actually removed from the home. Obviously, there was no investigation that I could conduct because I'm not a part of the Amish community. But there's no update that was given. It was just that there was an English person, that's what they call him, the English friend of theirs, that took them to Walmart in a van and helped them out from periodically. And they knew of me, and they asked me if I wanted the dolls because it was an interesting story. And I said, yep. And so there is the actual doll. That's the picture. That's correct. That's actually right, Rome 77. That's correct. Just y'all know, this guy isn't an official Roman Catholic priest or bishop. This man is a part of a small splinter group. That's exactly right, Rome 77. But I don't see any other Roman Catholic priests up here that are actually talking about these haunted items and teaching people. And actually, by the way, I don't get paid. I don't receive any stipend. I receive no salary. I do ministry 100% free, and I fund my ministry with my own pocket. So before you come in here and maybe troll, why don't you perhaps maybe go to church, Rome 77, because clearly you forgot that part of Matthew chapter 7, verse 2, where it says, you'll be judged in the same manner you judge others. And by the way, if you go to usocc.org, it's pretty clear. It's in the name, United States Old Catholic Church. And you, my friend, be blessed and be blocked. Bye-bye. That's how you take care of that. It's amazing. I don't see any other Roman Catholic priests up here doing this. And they get a stipend. They get a salary. I don't see them doing this. It's always somebody, isn't it? Always somebody. But for the rest of you, I hope that you're enjoying this presentation. The troll had to be escorted out and shown the back door. Bye-bye. Okay. Sorry for I was rudely interrupted. Let's go into another item, shall we? Okay. All right. This. Okay. A Teddy Ruxpin. Why are you blocking me? If we were blocking me, you wouldn't be able to say hello. Okay. I don't understand. I mean, really? Really? Okay, guys, we're going to put sub chat on because it's now getting really rude in TikTok. Sorry, sub chat's on. Okay, there we go. Sorry, guys, I have to do that. That's the way it is. So my apologies, but sub chat is now on because it was getting really, really nasty on TikTok, and we're not going to put up with that. So there we go. So Teddy Ruxpin. This is interesting. I was doing a presentation here on TikTok. I was doing it live. There are no batteries in this Teddy Ruxpin. And this is when my sister Shannon was alive. So here's the story with this. It really isn't a scary story necessarily, but it scared the father. So this was in Kentucky. So a father purchased this doll for a 3-year-old child. This is when they first came. They couldn't find them anywhere, and there was no violent activity with this item. However, around 2 o'clock in the morning, the parents began hearing the doll talk in the child's room. So the parents had a child monitor that was installed in, in the room to hear if the child was waking up or something. And the father goes into the room and was like, oh, I got to turn this stupid doll off. But he realizes he never put batteries in the thing. So he turned around and he opened, and there were no batteries. I was doing a live. And I don't know, for those of you you remember that? Jen was for the, yep, and Jack's Paranormal. I was doing a live and talking about this thing, and this thing began to talk. And again, I showed no batteries. So it hasn't done it since. It was that one time. It has not done it since. And that was very, very interesting. But it wasn't scary. It wasn't frightening to the family. He just didn't like the fact that it was talking when there were no batteries in there. And so he asked if I wanted it. I said, sure. And I blessed their home. That was fine. So, but that wasn't necessarily a frightening thing for him, but he just didn't like it. And I can understandably so. Okay. So we're moving right along here. This is interesting. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, so there was a 21-year-old male who he found this doll at an oddity store. And now this is a 21-year-old guy. He didn't collect dolls, but he was obsessed with John Wayne Gacy. And the young man actually began reading about Gacy, and he became obsessed with him. And he wanted to find paintings, anything that resembled him. So he purchased this doll, and the girlfriend noticed that this obsession became concerning because he would be speaking to the doll as if it were Gacy. It never left his side. His obsession grew darker with wanting to obtain even original Gacy paintings. And the doll became a conduit, basically, and what he would use is one would use a Ouija board to try to make contact with Gacy. And his behavior changed from loving to aggressive and even condescending. He actually was able to purchase Gacy paintings, and his behavior even became even more erratic, even to the point of wanting to purchase an exact clown outfit that I saw, by the way, when I was in Pigeon Forge. His parents became involved with the situation and asked for assistance. So I met with the client and clearly showed signs of extreme obsession with Gacy. He agreed to a deliverance being performed. It required 2 deliverances and ongoing therapy. So this is the doll that he actually started with. There it is. And he became obsessed with this. I mean, truly obsessed. And people would look at this and say, well, it's not that big. It's not that big of a deal. For him, it became an obsession. I mean, a deep, deep obsession. Now, this family actually collected Gacy paintings. They brought it home. They brought these paintings home, and they swear that activity was beginning to happen. They would hear the growls. They would smell. They felt like someone was watching. One of the mom woke up one night and said that she swore that she saw a black shadow right in the corner. The husband also felt very uncomfortable, and so they purchased original Gacy paintings. And then I asked them, well, these paintings need to be removed. They donated these paintings, and I have them. These are original Gacy paintings. So I got to be really careful with them because they're very, very rare. This is a cabin. This is a painting of Christ. And there's the signature there, Gacy. This is an actual original here painting of Pogo the Clown. And this painting. Yeah, the Pogo the Clown is a self-portrait, but this one. So these are originals. These are original paintings. And a 17-year-old kid became obsessed with Dahmer, obsessed with him. And Dahmer became a little smitten with a 17-year-old kid. And they were sending love letters back. And the young man asked Dahmer if he could, give him something. That way he can have of Dahmer. And Dahmer said, I didn't buy it. Remember, as I explained earlier, when I went on air, I've already explained this. I remove these items from people's homes, and I tell people stop collecting them, and I teach about these items and the dangers of collecting them. So this guy actually had Dahmer send him an old pair of frames, glass frames that he had with a little signature. Now, his parents found out about this, and they were not going to have that. They were not going to have Jeffrey Dahmer's signature or note or anything. They don't have, these do not have, I can take them, I don't mind. These do not have the lenses with them. So there. Again, they don't have the lenses, so. Yeah, he mailed. Well, I think he had like one of his family members mail it to him because he didn't have an extra pair. And so, I mean, the 17-year-old kid put also money in the books too. So, but I think Dahmer also liked him. And the parent didn't want that in their home, which I wouldn't either. Okay. Let's go into the next item. This is one of the most uncomfortable things. This is a thing I don't like having in my home at all. This was in Louisiana. I only have, they are actually in a protective case. I only have them in that envelope to show you guys because it's easier to transport them, but I actually have them in a protective case. Yeah. But thank you there, Monica. So this is, let me explain what this is. This was in Louisiana, and there was a shop owner who owned an oddity store. Very popular. The tourists loved it. The item was actually left on the front doorstep of his shop. There were no notes, nothing. He had no idea who put it there. But he thought it was interesting because he was an oddity store. So he placed it in his front window for 2 weeks. No customer would walk into the store for 2 weeks, even though the store received hundreds of customers weekly for those 2 weeks, which, by the way, and he even described it as one of those seasons, that was a in-season moment where people traveled to these locations and no one would come into the store. So the shop owner complained that when spoke to me, complained that the customers said that the customers didn't like it and it made them uncomfortable. And they described it as it looked cursed. So the owner of the shop said that items would fall off the shelf and even some of the shelvings would collapse. And he never had problems like that before. And he complained seeing black shadows, room temperature changes, even a foul odor. So there was an investigation that was performed. And the evidence clearly demonstrated that there was a belief that voodoo was placed on this item, a curse against the store owner. So the minor rite of exorcism was performed, which I did when I went to Louisiana. The item was removed, and since then the store is closed because he's retired. But what's interesting about this item is you see that I'll show you guys there. It is clearly stitched here and there. So you can see the stitching. I'm showing everybody else on. And there's just something with the eyes. There's something with the eyes. I don't know. The hair is real. Yeah, I actually had to analyze it. It's yeah, it could be real skin. I just don't know. I would love to get this even more analyzed, but I'm just dangerous. Yeah, I'm kind of worried about them destroying or messing it up. Okay. This item, and then we're going to talk about the new items. Yeah, these are scary. These are scary things. You mess around with this stuff. This is no joke, and people think that it is, and it's not. Let's see. These items is what caused a woman to pass out when I went to the West Virginia Paranormal Conference. I'll talk about her and the doll in just a second. Goodness gracious, what's going on here? Well, someone doesn't want me to open this. Okay. So these items are pretty. When I had this out, it was in Moundsville, West Virginia, and I had like 7 tables. It was a massive display of items, which really wasn't even 10% of my items. And I asked them if they wanted me to bring it, and they said yes, I did. So I brought these 2 items, and a woman, I mean, just almost nearly passed out when she saw these. Let me show you what they are. So this is this item, like I said, her face became, I mean, she became very pale. And it was a clear indicator to me, okay, that this was affecting her and that she needed to be removed. A family had purchased this. They don't know the history of it at all. They brought it home, and violent activity began to happen within their home. There is something inside of it. See? So I don't know what it is. I don't know what's inside of that. But there is something. I've been told by many people who even practice voodoo and some other bad things that there's something in there that I don't want to open this ever. So, yeah, this is from, they went to a safari. They went to Africa. And they purchased, let me do this. Hold on one second. A puzzle. There you go. So they purchased this, and they purchased actually several other things from this African safari. I'll show you guys this in just a second. I'll show you the other things. And it was pretty intense for them. So let me show you the other things. This. And these 2. And this. So, yeah, the family, it was very, very violent. They purchased all these items. They took them back to the hotel. Immediately, some weird things were beginning to, the TV completely went out. They took them home, obviously, and they began having severe sleep paralysis episodes. Complained of seeing shadow people running through their homes. They complained of hearing screams. An investigation was conducted, and based on the evidence, the minor right was absolutely warranted. This was a really violent case. I'll put this over here. And then finally, the last thing that they collected was this. You got to be careful with collecting these things. This was the actual Ouija board that the family used with the crucifix that burnt. This is the actual board itself. It has been blessed. So that is the board that the mom actually purchased when the crucifix one. And now we're going to talk about some things you've never seen before. First of all, let's talk about the doll. So this is featured on the Eli Roth Presents Legion of Exorcists show. And this is a very strange situation. I've always heard about the dangers of collecting these items, and I always knew that they were legit. This is a situation where it kind of stunned me, and I'll tell you why. So in Tennessee, cases in Tennessee, a mother purchased this doll from an antique store. She brought it home, and the entire home burnt down. This was a McMansion. Now, this is only 10% of it. So what happened is the wife became obsessed with this doll, obsessed. So they were at an antique store. Her husband was talking to her, and she wouldn't even listen to him. There was nothing he said. She became obsessed. She told me I would put a second mortgage on my home to get this doll. So that's how obsessed she became. And so the wife purchased it. They had a formal living room, like you go into the great room, and then the foyer, and then you turn right, and then you go into this living room, big, beautiful living room. And she put it on this really expensive, ornate bookshelf. And so, so both the husband, within a week, the family began hearing noises in the house. And many times they would ignore it, but the noises became distracting. They would also smell that sulfur. Both the husband and wife felt really uncomfortable, even to walk in the living room. They said that the doll was placed on that metal shelf, and the whole room changed. They said it just differed from all the other rooms. And one evening, the couple was awakened with the smell of something burning, and they ran down to the first floor. This was a 3-story home. It was like a McMansion, and their house was in a massive fireball. They obviously left everything. They ran out of the house. Fire department came. By the time the fire department came, the house was completely burnt to a crisp. There was nothing left. I mean, there was nothing, not even a stairwell, nothing left. The only thing, so that I get a phone call from the fire chief, and from, he had me on speakerphone. And I'm like, well, why are you calling? That's why I asked him. I said, well, chief, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be rude, but I know nothing about fires. Why are you calling me? And he said, just please, because I wasn't that long. I was like a couple hours away. He said, please just get here. Okay. Thanks, guys. So I showed up. I pulled into this long driveway. Now, I see clearly this huge field with ash, smoldering ash. And I'm thinking, and then there's a bookshelf, a metal bookshelf, and a doll sitting on the top. Now I'm thinking to myself, is this a joke? Why are they putting a doll on top of a bookshelf? The house just burnt down. So I get there, the family comes over to me, and, I talk to the chief. He says, you won't believe this one. Okay. So the wife said, let me show you. She said, let me show you where the foyer is. So it was all ash. And then she said, okay, now this was the formal foyer with a beautiful chandelier. And to the right is the living room, the formal living room. And right there was that beautiful metal bookshelf. And the doll was right there. And I even asked, well, why did you put a doll there? And she said the doll was there the entire time. The doll did not burn. It's porcelain. Now, the fire chief the way this house burnt was so fast, and the heat was so intense, that this McMansion burnt pretty quickly. What's interesting about this particular doll, I'll just take it out for a second. So I'm just putting oil. What's interesting about this is you see the burn marks. So there's the burnt marks on the doll. And it smells, you can still smell the burnt. You can still smell it. Now, I had this up last time and it messed up. The computer was acting kind of crazy on StreamYard. So Mr. Producer, just let me know if you're having issues. Because when I had it right here and then the electrical thing started going crazy. There it is. Now, here's the deal with this. And it's warm to the touch. It is still warm. So what happened? That kind of gave me a headache. So what happened when the actor who held it the first time said that it was warm to the touch when he reenacted it on the Eli Roth Legion of Exorcists show? I took this thing to Louisville Mid-South Paranormal Conference. And people kept telling me to take it out. Normally, I never would. But I took it out of this case. The entire room changed. I mean, the whole room changed. It was heavy. It was heavy. It felt everybody, and everybody said, put it back. As I was putting it back in its case, someone asked me a question. I put it next to a brand new laptop that I've been saving for. And I put it next to the laptop. I turned around to address the question. A volunteer firefighter actually said, Bishop Long, your laptop is on fire. An entire room full of people at the Louisville Mid-South Paranormal Conference actually saw my laptop on fire. So needless to say, I saw I had to stop the presentation, put the fire out. I mean, you could see it was on fire. And I had put the the doll back into its case. The whole room of people saw this. Now, we actually had a paranormal investigator, a seasoned investigator, at the Moundsville Paranormal Expo. And he asked if I would be willing to, if he could do thermal cam and do some EVP. I said, absolutely. So he said, okay. So he did a thermal cam. I can't explain it. And he showed me the evidence. He sent it to me. I have the evidence. The temperature difference. He had the thermal like on here, and then I opened the door. I opened it, and then he did here, and he checked it, and then he did the doll. It was intense heat that only something like one of us or an animal could produce that type of thermal heat. It was intense. He said he'd been in it for over 30. He's never seen anything like that in his entire life, ever. But I saw it. I have it. I actually have. He sent me all the evidence, so I have the video. So I'm going to be at Scarefest in Lexington, Kentucky, and I'm going to be showing the difference, the video, and talking about this doll and bringing this doll with me. I'll also be seeing Annabelle. So we'll be doing that later on, but that's down the road. So that is this doll. I really don't want to take it out. I'd rather keep it in, so. Oh, I will. I'll have that on TikTok when we do that, but I'd just rather leave that in. I really don't take it back out. Okay. Let's talk about items that none of you have ever seen. All right. Okay. There was a gentleman who had a relationship with a woman. She was heavily involved in voodoo. She was a self-proclaimed black magic witch or witch who practices black magic. And they separated. He he didn't like the fact that she got too heavy into this negative stuff. And so he said, that's it, we're done. And the woman actually told her ex that he would never find happiness. So the man received a package on the front doorstep. This was several months later, didn't think of it, nothing of it. He had his name on it, no big deal. He opened this. He brought the package into his home. He opened the package, and when he saw this item, he immediately felt sick. And he said that something fell off the shelf, something like a glass that his mom gave him and just fell and shattered. There was a note inside of this, and it said, "For you." That was it. And he knew that at that moment that his ex had done something to this item. So he became, he put it outside in his garage because he didn't know what to do with it. He didn't know if he should throw it away. He had no idea. And he claimed that he began hearing disembodied voices. He would hear knockings. He would hear bangings on his wall after he brought this item home. He felt, one time he told me he felt breath, and I've heard this before. He felt like a warm breath, and it smelled really horrible. It was putrid, like something was actually breathing on him in the middle of the night. And he said it was the most god awful smell. He almost threw up. So he contacted me and he asked me, what to do. He wasn't that far, so I went to his house. I performed the minor rite of exorcism. As soon as I saw this, it, I captured EVPs that it would growls. There was something that was saying it was a Class C EVP. I just couldn't get what it was saying. The item was removed. I blessed this item, but that is what he had. And I mean, he even said that now this doesn't have glow in the dark paint, but he said that when he turned the lights off, the eyes would actually glow in the dark. I brought it and I tried it. It didn't glow in the dark. Not at my location. Yeah, your eyes are twitching in. This is serious. This item is really bad mojo. So this was removed. The next item I'll show you. This was in Florida. So the item, this cross was placed on someone who was struggling with transient possession. A clergy member who had contacted me really wasn't well versed in performing exorcisms, but there was a 21-year-old male who struggled with possession, and a clergy member went to the home to perform an exorcism on him. The clergy member placed the cross around this person's neck. He began to scream in intense pain and demanded that it be removed. Well, the clergy member was thinking, well, that's the demon trying to take it off. Well, the clergy member then removed the necklace, kind of moved it, and the actual cross embedded into the skin of the victim, to the chest, embedded, a 3rd-degree burn. Obviously, that startled the clergy member. Even when I talked to him and I met him, he was terrified. He retired. He quit. He contacted me, and so I went to Florida, and I saw the young man. The exorcism was absolutely warranted. I performed the solemn rite of exorcism. It took 2 weeks, and he was eventually released from the demonic. And the cause of the possession was that he went to a location, again, that had demonic activity. He used a Ouija board there to try to make contact with the demon. This is the cross. Now, if you see it, you'll see it actually looked like in the center, that's actually scarring marks, burnt marks, that's where it started. Because I saw the picture of this before it was actually burning into his flesh. So I saw the picture. There is no black. It's completely, it's almost like the bottom part. It's very clear. But you can see, right, it starts right in the center, and it burnt. It embedded right here into his chest. And when the clergy member pulled it off, he pulled off skin because it was actually inside, embedded into his chest. And that was so I have this. The clergy member who, so this is the second part. The clergy member who was there, he used this cross. This is the cross that he used. And he actually experienced second-degree burn. So he held it up just like this. And he was saying, the power of Christ compels you. He dropped it. Unfortunately, because it dropped, it broke. You can see where it broke here. They tried to fix it. See that? It broke right here. And I even tried to fix it as well. But you see on the back, he said it was like a flame torch was holding his hand. Well, if you look in the back, that's why. That's what caused him, the clergy member, to have a second-degree burn. So he was holding it like this. Just like that. And that's what happened. And you can see where we tried to fix it here, because it burned him, and he dropped it and it broke. That's a form of desecration. Okay. No one has ever seen this before. This is really interesting. And you're going to hear an EVP. And it's pretty, well, I'm going to hold off on this. I'm going to play this one first, because I got to hold off on this one. Hold on. So a family, a young couple bought a little piano for a 3-year-old child. They love buying old things. So they bought this at a yard sale. They didn't really think anything of it. It was down south. And the child was just kind of, it was a 3-year-old kid just drawn to the piano, loved to play on it and bang on it. So they brought it home. Everything was fine. For several days, the child loved it. She'd play on it often. Well, let me show you. This is the piano. It's from the 1950s. Can't see any markings on it. No. But it's still. So what happened is that around 2:30 in the morning, he began hearing the piano play, as if the child was banging on it. Obviously, he was a little irritated because the child was supposed to be asleep. And he went into the kid's room first because that's where the piano was. She was sleeping. And the piano was not in the kid's room. It was downstairs. And he or his wife did not take it downstairs. And it was only him and the 3-year-old child. So he brought it back to the child's room. The reason thinking, because he didn't know his wife, he thought maybe his wife took it downstairs. He didn't know until the next morning when he asked his wife. So he took it back into, because it's not, it's the kid's room. It's supposed to be in the kid's room. It's not supposed to be downstairs. Well, anyway, he was just thinking he was just hearing things, because it was kind of getting annoying because he was banging on it. So he kind of dismissed it. An hour later, he and his wife were both awakened. The piano was playing again. But this time, the child was in their room. And they heard the piano being played in the child's room. And the father went to the child's room. It stopped playing. And so the next morning, the parents asked the kid, why did she get out of her crib and come sleep in their bed? She said she didn't like the little boy who kept playing on it. So I went to the home. I blessed the home. I took the item because they did not want it in their home anymore. And obviously the parents are no longer experiencing any more activity. But the little girl said she didn't like the little boy. And because he kept playing it. And the father can't explain how in the world it got downstairs, because the wife did not take it downstairs, and neither did the father. Okay. The reason is people always say, why don't you just get rid of them? Because of this, what I'm doing right now. I'm teaching you. You're seeing these things. There are stories behind every single one of these items. And I try to tell people to stay away from collecting these haunted items. You don't know what you're collecting. And right now, there are so many people buying items online, and it claims, oh, this is, it's haunted and all this other stuff. You don't know. You have no idea if someone placed a curse on these items. You don't know. Now, I'm going to show you this. Originally, you wouldn't think that this is a big deal. It's an old-time little radio. No big deal. Well, a paranormal enthusiast bought this old radio and thought it could be like a trigger object. A trigger object is if you go to a location that's kind of older, and you purchase and you bring items that are older or from that time, that somehow that's going to cause a spirit, a ghost, that's going to trigger them to make some type of noise. He turned it on, but he wanted to turn it on white noise. It's static, to see, if voices would come from the spirit box. Just like a spirit box, you turn it on and you can hear it. Well, that's what he wanted. That's what he was trying to do. And he used this item several times at demonic locations, and then he brought it home. This thing became a portal. Let me tell you what happened. So he would go to these haunted locations that are known to be demonic, and he would use that item to try to communicate with whatever spirit that is there. And he would hear growls there and all that, and that kind of stuff. He didn't really think much of it, but he could hear it. Well, he took this thing home, and he began hearing growls and other voices, and it was weird. He called me and said, I don't know what's going on here. I use this in places that are demonic. And I explained to him, look, you've opened the portal. You have used this as a portal. He also experienced sleep paralysis episodes that were terrifying him. And he woke up with scratches all over his body, in the back part of his body where he could not have done it himself. And he had a girlfriend, and she validated all this. So I went to his home, and he looked like he had not slept in days. He said, I don't want the radio, take it away. So we were in his house, because I was doing an investigation, and I decided to turn it on and to have it to where he always used it, to where it was like that static. And we caught something. I'll play it for you. We caught this EVP that was in his house. And so what we did is I had my trusty digital recorder, and I put it right next to the radio while I was going, the staticking thing. And we walked out of the room. So I made sure no one was in the room. And as a matter of fact, I said, let's just step outside for a little while. We stepped out. No one was in the house. The first thing you're going to hear is a growl, a very deep growl. The next thing you're going to hear, it's a little faint, but it says, help me. I'll play it for you. That's the static. Wait, do you see that? Help me. I'll play it again. So again, after you hear the growl, you'll hear it says, help me. I'll play it again. You got to listen through the static. Here's the growl. Here's a help me. Yeah, very clear. You can hear help me. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can hear that. That's very clear. So I'll play it one more time so everybody can hear it. No. Yep. Very clear. Very, very clear. And that is, I think there's Cindy. There was no question. That was, you can hear it when you have the headset. You hear it. It says "help me," and it has that growl, and no question about it. What's interesting is the Annalise McKell kept wanting to play multiple times. Annalise McKell is of Emily Rose, The Exorcism of Emily Rose. This is a real soundbite, by the way, if you want to hear it. This is a real soundbite of The Exorcism of Emily Rose. If you actually hear, you clearly hear multiple pitches in that particular soundbite. I'm not. No, I'm not. So that is what we have here. So that is. Let me make sure I got everything. Which I did. Oh, there's one more. It's not really scary. But this is a person. They had surgery, and they bought. It's beautiful. And they bought this there was some type of, he said, a fair or a Native American. I don't know what it was. There were Native Americans that were there. And this gentleman purchased this. He was like maybe in his 40s, or he had a surgery on one of his foot, his ankle or something. And he bought this for a cane. And he thought, well, I'm going to have surgery. I could use a cane. So they were at that fair, and there was a person there, and they said this belonged to a shaman. And he thought, well, that's pretty cool. So he brought this home. And after his surgery, nothing happened. And after his surgery, everything's fine. He began to use it. He said he began to hear what sounded like drums. And even his wife heard it. And it would wake them up in the middle of the night. It would frighten them to the point where it really bothered them. So I asked a shaman friend of mine, and I asked, why is this? What's going on with this? And apparently he believes that the shamanic spirit, the soul, is so attached to this that it's very common to have something like this, perhaps residual. There was nothing violent. There was no scratching. There was no biting. There's nothing like that. No shadow people. It was just, he would hear this. He would hear drum beats like it was Native Americans. And it woke him up all the time. And so he asked me, he contacted me, he said, you want it? I was like, well, sure. So it's a beautiful piece. It's beautiful, but apparently it belonged to a shaman. And that's from a self portrait supposed to be of here. And then that is the horse. So yeah, I mean, so anyway, it is a beautiful cane. But it wasn't anything frightening to them necessarily, but he didn't like the constant, the beating. He didn't like that. A couple of EVPs I want to share with you. The digital recorder that I have, I talk about this often. This is, I think, one of the best digital recorders you can find. No question. It is the Olympus. It truly is phenomenal. It's a WS 150, I think. Let me double check here. I love these, and I'll tell you why. It's a WS100. What I love about this is that. And you plug it right into the USB in your computer, and it automatically, you can download it. This is amazing. I had mine for the Bobby Mackey's episodes. I took this to the Gates of Hell Cemetery. I took this to the Eastern Cemetery. And let me play you a couple. And I even caught the EVP, the growl on the radio with this, all with this. This is this is called Seth. I don't know who Seth is, but I was at Eastern Cemetery. Eastern Cemetery is a horrible what they did. The groundskeeper, and you can look this up. You can Google this. He actually buried people on top of each other, so he would reuse graves. He was actually sent to prison. So I went there and I did investigation. I did investigation, and I was at a location where they put urns. And I just wanted to see if it said my name. I said, you know who I am? I didn't hear anything. But when I went back to the car and I turned it on and I heard it, that was insane. It says Seth. Listen.
Do you know who I am? Do you know who I am?
It's clear.
Do you know who I am?
Seth. I don't know Seth. But it was this. It's clear. And I know I was the only one there. So it wasn't like someone was walking next to me. I mean, it's very clear to me.
Do you know who I am?
It's there. Something. I also went to the Gates of Hell. So the Gates of Hell Cemetery that's the cemetery that I named over 20 years ago. It's an old abandoned cemetery. Nobody in the paranormal community knew this place even existed. And families contacted me and asked me if I would be willing to go there because people were going there and vandalizing it and doing things they shouldn't do. And they had family members that were buried there many years ago. So I said, yes, I'll go there and I'll bless it. This EVP, well, something was not right that night.
We are literally standing.
No.
Is there anyone here? Are you friendly?
Now, we heard nothing. So that wasn't a disembodied voice. A disembodied voice is when you can actually hear it. We heard nothing. But we knew something wasn't right. No, I don't believe I don't believe everything is demonic. I don't. I know there's people who disagree with that, and they have a right to disagree. But based on my experience as an investigator, again, I 35 years ago, that was my first time I investigated. There were many times it was not demonic at all. There was activity. There was no demonic entity present. None. And so, as a matter of fact, well, I'll tell about that. So, but I'll do it one more time. Yeah, we knew something was wrong because we kept saying right before something is here. Something is here. We felt it. And here, one more time.
Is there anyone here? Are you friendly?
And I got this on this Olympus. And also, now when I was in Eastern Cemetery, we were also, me and my buddy Steve-O, I went to a seminary with him. We were, like brothers. And we went to the Eastern Cemetery. And it was kind of getting dark. It was around 9 o'clock at night, and the sun had already gone down. And we were getting ready to get out of the car. And I even said to him, I don't feel comfortable even leaving the car. Now, I caught an EVP. I don't know what this is. We don't have an owl. We didn't hear anything. I want to make that clear. We heard nothing. We heard no noise whatsoever. But I'm going to play this for you. I don't know what this was.
We are literally standing next to the safety of a car.
That screech, we didn't hear it. We heard nothing. Play it again.
We are literally standing next to the safety of a car. I don't feel that it is safe at this point in time to move away from the car. We are literally standing next to the safety of a car. I don't feel that it.
I would have heard that. We would have heard that. But we heard nothing. We had absolutely nothing. And there's another one. Let me see.
Is anyone
Okay.
else here with you?
So I say it's very fast. You got to listen to it. I say, is there anyone here? Is there anyone else here with you? I think as soon as I said with you, you hear, oh yeah. Cabs Paranormal. Were you the? I'm sorry, I can't remember. Were you the one with that had the video of the doll? I thought it was Cabs Paranormal because you had the. My brain. I want to double check. He's on our other social media platforms, but I thought it was Cabs Paranormal was the one who had the thermal cam on this doll, and. So I'll find out because they said happy Friday 13th on the road. Wish I could stay for the live. Yeah, I don't know if they left already, but I thought it was Caps Paranormal who actually was at the Moundsville Paranormal Conference who actually had the video. This one, I say something. Is there anyone else with you? And you hear, oh yeah, but you got to listen. It's very fast. As soon as I say with you, you got to listen carefully.
Is anyone else here with you?
Oh, yeah.
You hear that?
Is anyone else here with you?
Oh, yeah.
There was no one there.
Is anyone else here with you?
Oh, yeah.
That's a Class A EVP. Oh, it says, oh yeah. I mean,
Is anyone else here with you?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's loud and clear to me. That's Class A EVP. Yeah, it sounds like a woman, but I was the only one there. So again, I'll share one more. This was an exorcism that I had to perform. This gentleman, what he would do is he would wake up in the middle of the night and go into a trance and just rock back and forth, back and forth. Scared his wife terribly, and it was a bad case. Yeah, the poor wife, she had a hard time. This is his soundbite. What it says is, I sing you. And he had transient possession. There was multiple possession going on. And so you'll hear sometimes like, and then there will be a complete different behavior, a total different demonic influence. So obviously that required my attention, which we got involved and helped the family. The reason is I do this. The reason is, again, I put these out like this, and I know it's heavy for a lot of people, and people are like you're almost out of breath, because I'm an educator. I have a master's of education. I am a theologian. I'm a lecturer, and it's important for me to I don't like having these items here. I don't like having these items here. I do it so that I can educate. And so I can teach you. And now when the good Lord calls me home, all this property belongs to the church. And so, and there are some things I can't bring because I know that if I brought them on TikTok it would ban me. There were some. Well, no, I can't. There was a satanic altar at the Gates of Hell Cemetery where we got the growl, and I have I'm not going to take no because I'd get banned. This item, there's a half a skull that blood was drunk out of. So yeah, it was pretty bad. It's a pretty bad location. So the reason is I bring these things to people so that I tell people stop collecting them. Stop collecting them. These are really bad things. This just I don't like this. This is something about it. I just don't like this thing. But I bless them. I bless them again, and then we will stop here at 9 o'clock, and then I will bless the house, bless this whole entire place again, and then I have to, of course, take these items to the storage facility. Yeah, it is. Yeah, Anne Marie, it's an actual. It was animal, and so because I don't want them anymore. Yeah, we'll do a blessing. We'll do a blessing before we leave. But I think it's important to understand that these items are really truly dangerous. I do have some more that I didn't go through. Let me go through some other ones. I'll show you this one. Okay. And I'll show you this one. Oh, that's just negative there. Okay. This was a case was in Indiana. And there was a 14-year-old child. She loved horror movies. She loved macabre items. She just loved it. That was her thing. And her parents purchased it for her birthday. And within 1 week of purchasing this item, a complete and total change of behavior and attitude was displayed by this girl. And she had had these items before. And the family began hearing whispers in her room when she was not there. Like there was multiple. And they complained of seeing black shadows running through the hallways. And the 14-year-old, the room showed signs of dramatic temperature change. Plays in the home, hear evil voices. What should they do? Well, Tony, if you have issues like that, I would definitely contact clergy and get them involved. So there was EVPs captured in this particular room. I was called in and I performed the minor rite and prayed over the child. It required 3 minor rite of exorcisms and 2 prayers over the child before the activity stopped. So, but again, she collected these items and she loved them, and she had a whole room full of these macabre. It looked like as if Halloween had just thrown up in her room. I mean, she just loved it, and she never had problems before, ever. But that's how it starts. And then they bought this item. So they bought that, and she put it on, I think it was her, I'm looking at a room, imagine a room. It was her clothes drawer, the dresser drawer. She just loved collecting these items. She loved horror movies, and it was her birthday, and she wanted something different that she never had before, and her parents bought this, and it wasn't long after that. I mean, like I said, within a week, then her behavior just changed. She just became depressed and dark and just something not right. So that is this. Yeah, I try not to leave that open too much because a lot of people are really affected by this. Really affected by this. which most people should be. Yeah, that's real hair. It's real human hair. I don't know why people collect them, but they do. They just love it. And I'm trying to find this one here. So this was also purchased. There was a 15-year-old girl. It was in Kentucky. She gave permission to give her name. Her name was Heather. And she clearly was starting to show signs of demonic. She had a small sister. And her small sister was 7. And she loved playing with, the 15-year-old just had a collection of dolls. But also the 7-year-old girl loved her dolls too. And the two sometimes just play and get along. They're fine. But Heather began hanging around the wrong crowd in the school, and she would also refuse to play dolls with her sister anymore, and even began making fun of her. She took one of her sister's favorite dolls and said that it needed to be repaired, and that she and her friends, that I guess they got involved in heavy dark witchcraft, and so she took this doll, and her sister was upset because it was one of her favorite dolls. Well, the parents began noticing satanic symbols that were written under her bed, the older one, and the 15-year-old one, and books on how to summon demons. And then from the notes that she actually placed in the book, because she wrote notes, it was clear that she had made several attempts to contact demons, and demonic activity began be violent or abusive. She became really dangerous to her siblings and even her parents. A team was called out. They conducted an investigation. After 15 minutes of investigation, the team left, and they said they would not. And I asked them if they'd go back in and help me when I performed the minor rite, and they said no, they wouldn't do it. I mean, it frightened them that much. So thank you. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you, Blue Line. So I got involved, and it was determined that she definitely suffered from transient possession. We required the obviously psychological, but she knew what I had. So I had the oil in my hand, and I put it in the back pocket. She didn't notice that because when I walked into the house, I hadn't even seen her yet. And she was sitting in the kitchen with her parents. And when I walked into the house, she started laughing. And she's laughing uncontrollably. And we, asked what was going on. And she looked right. I'll never forget it. She looked at me, which is a blank stare. And she said, well, it's cursing. She said, "Your stupid effing oil that you have in your back pocket won't hurt me." Now, she had no idea that I placed that in the back pocket. None. No clue. And so we knew that it was this, and she had other things up. This is the doll. This here gives as uncomfortable vibes as this does. This feels demonic. This feels demonic, 100% demonic. Even holding it, it is ice cold. I mean, this is cold. And I'm holding the back where the cloth is. It is cold. And this is what she did. I mean, she took the 7-year-old's like baby and just did this to it. Yeah, I'm going to put that up. This here, I don't take the paranormal conferences. I did one time, and someone actually regurgitated. It smells like, honestly, this smells like it smells like rotten flesh. So this needs to be blessed. I need to bless this again. Yeah, I need to bless that again. Ugh. Yeah, it's heavy. These things are heavy. It's not heavy as far as, no, it can't affect you. But when I say it's heavy, it feels, yeah. But these things are bad. These things are bad stuff. So this is why I always tell people, you got to stay away from that. You got to stay away from these things. For those of you who are on Spreaker, I'm going to say good night to you guys. Yeah, we're going to do a blessing before we wrap this up, because some of these things were pretty bad things. So let me set this up right now, and then I can, if you want to listen to it again, we can. So let me do this now while I'm doing this. If you just bear with me, if you will, because I want to get this up there as soon as I can. You just nope. Okay. Yeah, that ain't, see, now my computer's acting stupid. Oh no, come on. Wow, that was really strange. Yeah, my computer just kind of just froze for a minute. That was weird. Okay, yeah, that's like, matter of fact, you know what? Let's see. This is why I don't like having these things in my studio. I don't like that. I don't like having them. That's why I very rarely do this. Okay. All right. It is that doll. It's that doll. I'm telling you, that doll is nasty. All right, let's do a quick prayer. And because we need to do that now. Okay. But the point is, guys, is stay away from these things. Stay away from them. They are dangerous. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. And Lord God, we come before you in the power of your Holy Spirit, seeking deliverance from any evil or demonic forces that may be at work in our lives, our homes, our families, our communities, or this live. We rebuke and break any curses, hexes, spells, or other forms of demonic evil that has been sent against us or passed down through generations. We declare that you are greater than any evil influence, and we claim your victory over the darkness. We ask you to release us from any bondage or captivity caused by negative influences, and to break any strongholds that have been established in our lives. And we ask for your protection and the shielding of the Holy Spirit, so that we may walk in the freedom and victory filled with your love and power. We claim the shed blood of Jesus Christ, the Son of the living God, over all that we have lifted to you for your protection. In Jesus' holy precious name we pray. And we pray, St. Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle, be our protection against the malice and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do thou, O Prince of the heavenly host, by the power of God, cast into hell Satan and all evil spirits who wander through the world seeking the ruin of souls. And may Almighty God bless you in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. And there we go. Okay, so I'm going to turn on the chat for everybody. You see, this is why. Thank you. This is why when you have these items, I can sit here and talk about them all day long until I'm blue in the face. But when I show you these items, and now you know the story behind them, now the story comes to, now it's real. Now you get it. So when you see items like that thing, that was heavy. I mean, I think everybody felt that. But that's why. So when I talk about them, it's an abstract idea. You got to figure out. When you see it, then okay, now you get it. Now you get it. So, this was what does this doll do, Colton? Well, remember this. She was a young girl who had a sister, and that doll I didn't originally look like that. Oh, thank you, Lynn. It didn't originally look like that, but the older sister began going through this dark transformation, and she took her young sister's doll, purposely took it, and just desecrated it while she was under the stage of possession. And that's why that doll has that type of energy. It is that bad. Okay, for those of you who are listening on Facebook, YouTube, well, I can't say that. I'm not allowed to say all the other social media platforms and KGRADB radio. Remember, I tell you, your value does not decrease based on someone's inability or refusal to see your worth. You're priceless. Don't let anybody tell you or convince you otherwise. I want to remind everybody we're going to be here tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I didn't get to any of my articles. We're going to be doing that tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, good night.